Wow.
And so I'm hanging on the window for my life. And I looked at them and it's like, man, stop. And they were laughing. Thought it was funny and pushed me right in with the alligators. I was the top player in the country. I remember she calling me in the office one day and saying, I don't believe in interracial dating. Reach my dream of making it to the NFL with the Seattle Seahawks. Next thing you know, man, my knee just 225 pounds, running 4,240, bench pressing 485, squatting 1,000 pounds. And I find me a different street to park on in Jamaica Queens in our sleep. Sometimes your family can love you so much that they can talk you out of your dreams. I can't trust this man around my daughter. You can give a woman everything. One morning she wakes up and she just don't want you no more. And I think the biggest scar with me, man, don't get it twisted. Just because I'm sitting here shedding tears don't mean I ain't like that beast not in me.
We are back with another episode of Scars. Today, I got the pleasure to sit down with my brother, Jimmy Gary Jr. How you doing, my brother?
Well, I'm wonderful, man. I'm blessed and grateful to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Brother, thank you for making the trip, number one. Mm-hmm. Dealing with the car issue to get down here, but still making your way down here. So listen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm originally from Florida, Okeechobee, Florida. I know people always say, well, Okeechobee,
What is that near?
It's west of West Palm Beach.
Okay.
Where on the map, you see the big lake is right down, map of Florida.
Okay.
You see that lake at the bottom, it's Okeechobee Lake. It's large waters, Seminole Indian name, Okeechobee. That's what it stands for, large waters. But I'm from Okeechobee, grew up being I'm from a football family.
Of course, Florida, of course.
Yeah, you know it. So I played football, but I had a secret love for acting and entertainment. So I kind of pushed that to the side and just focused on the football. And football led me to West Virginia University. Coming out of high school, I was the top player in the country.
Okay.
Worked hard for it.
That's what's up.
I wish they had them NIL deals back then.
Yeah, they getting paid.
Oh yeah, they getting paid. Okeechobee is a small town, country town. I'm talking cows and, everywhere. Like I used to wake up 5 o'clock in the morning before school and go feed the hogs and chickens. And
so you grew up on a farm?
It wasn't a farm, but like
you had cows and chickens
in the back. Yeah, like in the back. Like we lived right in front of railroad tracks.
Oh wow!
And on the other side of railroad tracks, it was just like acres of land, pastures and stuff. So we had I would say we fenced in and put some cows in this little property and some hogs and stuff. And, we had about 300 acres of land. We farmed, picked beans. We grew beans, cabbage, and all that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's different. Boy. Absolutely. So listen, man, I'm glad you're here. Yeah. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, man. So let's get into some scars.
All right.
Brother, tell us about your first scar.
My first scar, I would say, when my grandfather passed away. I was raised by my grandmother and my grandfather. Okay. And my grandfather, who really, he knew I was a really good athlete, but he instilled the arts into me. He worked on the railroad, so every time he would come home, he would bring me a trumpet or he would bring me a guitar. He would always bring me something musical. Then he bought a piano. So he wanted to keep my artistic self alive and keep it going. And I remember one day coming home from school and everyone was at the house, at my grandma's house. And I guess they got news that my grandfather had cancer and he was in the last stages. And I was the last one to know about it.
Wow.
Because of our relationship, how close we were. And so he had the bag on and he had everything laying in the bed. And I remember missing school, just sitting there with him, talking with him, massaging his feet, massaging, his calf muscles and everything. And I did that for like a month. And then one day I went home, to continue the routine and he wasn't there. And I got the news that he passed away and I couldn't even see him before, He passed away that day while I was in school.
Wow.
And I said that really scarred me because that was my first time experiencing death as a kid. And my grandmother had 6 of us. She's by herself. My grandfather passed away, so it was really challenging. Being in the same house, waking up, he's not there. But there's one thing that he told me that really helped me, just get over and keep going, was that he said whatever you believe in life, whether it's acting, music, or sports, he said, don't quit.
Mm-hmm.
He said, don't give up, don't quit. He said, it's an emotional roller coaster. You're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs, but don't quit. And he told me that the KFC, Colonel Sanders started KFC when he was 72. So he said, if he can wait that long and keep pushing, I shouldn't have a problem.
Mm.
And
Wow.
keep pursuing my dream and keep going. And yeah, and so he was a great, great man,
What was his name?
Charlie Talbert.
Okay.
Yeah. Geechee from South Carolina.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, he was
okay. Wow.
Definitely special person. I had just turned 8.
Okay.
And he passed away when I was 8. He got sick when I was 7, and I had just turned 8 when he passed away. For me, I couldn't believe that someone is not going to be here anymore. I just couldn't fathom that, like, they're gone. They're like disappeared, just gone.
Wow.
And what the things that I went through dealing with that, it didn't make me, I didn't get angry or anything like that. It kind of woke something up in me, something that when that happened, I knew something was special about me because I became the calm in my family. Like, I remember, like, I cried and cried and cried, and something told me, said, okay, I've cried. Now I got to be there for my sisters, my grandmother, my mom. I got to be there, And so from that point, I just became like, that person that was like, and as a young kid, like, it's going to be okay, Mom. We're going to make it through. It's going to be okay. So I guess it gave me strength in that, and I didn't have anyone to help me with it. I was just locked in my room, crying and crying until I was all cried out. And then something just came over me and that was like, okay, I can do this. I can be strong. I can do this. I can get through this, even though I don't understand what's going on. I didn't understand death, like that. So I kind of became that person that gave everybody else comfort.
Okay. Were you the oldest?
No, I'm second to the youngest.
Wow.
6 of us.
Okay.
And that's when I knew at that moment, like, getting through that gave me it made me feel like I can get through anything in this world. Like, nothing's going to bother me. Just dealing with that, because my grandfather and I, we had plans, It was like, yeah, I can't wait to see you on television. I can't wait to see you in the NFL. We had those conversations as a kid growing up. And then, he wasn't there. So all those dreams and everything, they still stuck with me. But the fact that I knew physically he wasn't there, to experience those things with him when he poured so much into me. My mom and dad had divorced. My mom had 3 kids before she met my dad, and she had 3 kids by my dad, so it was 6 of us. So when my mom and dad got a divorce, they didn't want to split the kids up.
Okay.
So they agreed that we all live with my grandparents, all 6 of us.
Oh,
Live with
wow.
my grandparents. My mom was always in my life. My dad was always in my life. They just didn't live in the same house. Like my mom lived about 3 minutes down the street. And my dad lived about 26 minutes away from me. And my father was a minister, you know, a PK.
Okay.
Yeah. And my mom worked in the juvenile system. So I spent a lot of time in detention centers with kids because I would go to work with her and stuff. So I spent a lot of time with them.
Okay.
Just my grandmother and grandfather, you know, they got the good and the bad and the ugly for me, you know, because they raised me.
Tell us about fake friends.
Okay. You know, some kids, you know, they grow up and they attract people, you know, and I was one of those kids that I attract people. Every school I went to, everybody wanted to be my friend. Maybe because in recess I ran the fastest, or in PE I was the most athletic. I don't know why. But throughout my whole grade school growing up, I had a lot of friends enter my life and exit my life, and it was real challenging, you know, to figure out like who is real and, you know, who is fake. And certain scenarios and actions, it took me a while to learn this, you know, because you're like, oh, he's just doing this, or they're just doing this, or, you know, it was a mistake just because they say I'm sorry. It doesn't mean that they didn't mean to do it, you know. But it's just little things. Like I remember we were, prime example, we were in a car and we was riding in the car, and my friend was driving. You know, we had 15, just old enough to get license, a restricted license and stuff, and we're driving in the neighborhood, and they're all piling in the car, and now I get ready to get in, and my friend that was driving and the guy sitting in the passenger seat, they looked at each other, and he pushed the gas, and I wasn't in the car.
Wow.
And so I'm hanging on the window for my life while he's driving like 50 miles per hour, like down the road, and they're laughing. And I remember I was so terrified. I was so scared because I was like, I knew that I can slip off. I can fall off. And I didn't even have a good enough grip, you know, so I felt myself slipping and sliding. And I looked at them and it's like, man, stop. And they were laughing. They thought it was funny. You know, and some adults was watching, some people saw it and stuff. And, you know, back in that country town, man, it's like
word get around.
And it's like your parents just don't raise you, the community raise you, you know. And this lady stuff, she was like, stop that car, y'all gonna hurt that boy, y'all gonna kill that boy, you know. And so they stopped, they thought it was funny. And you know, my heart was beating so fast, and I was just like, you know, that's the closest I come to death, you know.
Tell me you walked home from there. You didn't get in that car.
I got in because I was at that age where they're laughing and they thought it was funny. So I'm like, man, y'all play too much. Y'all play too much.
Wow.
You know.
Not seeing.
Not seeing, not even knowing.
But you were young, 15.
Young. And then, you know, sometimes things have to happen more than once, you know. Another incident, we're out fishing in this big pasture, alligators in the water, we see them and everything. And one friend came by, thought it was funny, and pushed me right in with the alligators. Pushed me right in. And so I can say now that, you know, God has been good to me because he's kept me, you know. Those friends that I had at the time, some of them are gone.
Okay.
And some of them are in prison. Some of them have learned and ended up apologizing and things like that, you know. So we live and learn, but those are like, it really gave me a real serious take on, like, you know, like on friendship, you know.
How to use discernment.
Yeah. Discernment.
Yes. Okay.
Exactly.
At a very young age.
Yeah. They just targeted me. And my grandmother told me, she said that, my grandmother told me I was a chosen one.
Okay.
She said, you're a chosen one. So get used to people treating you like that. So you have to really be careful about the friends you and the people you bring into your life, and then I'm asking her, like, what is a chosen one? Da, da, da. She said, you have great talents and great gifts, and utilize those, but make sure you be careful who you bring into your life.
Because you can have jealousy right around you.
Exactly.
Tell us about the school counselor.
All right. So my high school year, my cousin, Cleveland Gary, first round draft pick to the LA Rams out of the University of Miami. He was the first one in my family to play professional football. I was right behind him, like 4 years behind him. So my freshman year, I moved to his school and I played football there. They brought in a professional football coach, Luke Saban, who passed away a while ago. But they made all these arrangements because I was coming to South Fork High School. And I stayed there 1 year. And I gained a real good football reputation before I moved back to Okeechobee to play. And I had a great career. Like I was the top player in the country. And it came down to taking the ACT and the SAT test, to get in college.
Okay.
I was offered by probably 150 Division I schools. Like I had so many offers. So my guidance counselor, we were sitting down, going over the locations for the test. I had took the test once, a practice test. I did okay on it, qualified, but that was the practice test. So for the main test, I'm sitting down with her, and take in mind, this is huge because I was in the newspaper every day.
Okay.
So people knew who I was all across. I had relatives from North Carolina. I was like, you in the paper again today? You in the newspaper. So it was a big thing, but no one knew about, they just knew that all these colleges was coming at me and I was, a top player. So my guidance counselor, we're sitting down and we're talking about what location, what site I was going to go to take the test, the SAT test. And she actually sent me, I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's in the past. I don't care. But, I played football. Her daughter was a cheerleader and we were friends. It was nothing going on. It was nothing. It was just friends, And I'm from a town, Okeechobee, you got your white section, you got your black section.
Mm-hmm.
It's that type of thing. And so she sent me to the wrong location. I go to take the test and I'm sitting there and there's no cars, there's nothing out there. I'm just sitting there. And it's the last time I can take this test to go to college.
Wow.
And I'm just sitting there in silence by myself. I go knock on the door, I pull the doors, everything locked and everything. And I got back and I told her, like, it's the wrong place. She apologized. Oh, I'm sorry. So now it was a big thing in the press. It was just so humiliating. Jimmy failed to pass the SAT test or the ACT to go to college.
So they didn't say she sent you to the wrong location?
No. It's all on me.
Okay.
So as a kid, like in high school, it's like I had people, it was in the newspaper, I had people saying like, oh, you couldn't even pass the SAT test to get in college. You couldn't do this and you couldn't do that. Just trying to belittle me. And some people lift me up also. But that was a huge defining moment because that affected my college career. I had to go in as a Prop 48, which means I had to sit out my first year.
Oh, wow.
Which the NFL draft, they do a mock draft of freshmen in college. And they had me rated to be in the top 5 picks by the time I became a junior. And so once I got to West Virginia, I chose West Virginia University to go to because my friends were there, guys that I played football with, real friends, my boys. And I got there, I had to sit out my first year.
Oh, because she sent you to the wrong address.
Yep. I had to sit out. And, I would say that affected my career because everybody had high hopes. I had high hopes for myself also. And to go there and to watch, I couldn't even go to the facilities. I couldn't even go to the facilities. As a Prop 48, you can't be around the program, period.
You can't practice or nothing?
Nothing. You can't do anything. And so that first year at West Virginia, I just focused on, my grades, academics, and I did pretty good, and I just geared up. And that next year, man, I went in to get the job done, and I had a great career leaving West Virginia.
Okay.
Pretty good career, yeah. I think, as much as I don't want to, because I really, really liked my guidance counselor, but I remember she calling me in the office one day and saying, "I don't believe in interracial dating." And I was like, what you talking about? She said, "I'm talking about you and my daughter. I don't believe in it." So, me, I'm her. And I said, "We're not dating. We're just friends." She said, "Well, I don't believe in that close of a friendship." And so I went and wrote a letter in all different colors of pens, inks. I wrote it, and it was one of those letters where, I'm a kid trying to change the world.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wish we were all, one color, because this and that, and we won't have this prejudice and discrimination and stuff. As much as, in my heart, I don't want to believe it, but I think that, there are people that hold grudges, and there are people that do things to stop someone from accomplishing their goals. And sometimes it can be the person that you love the most.
Or just don't want to see you
Or
succeed.
just don't want to see you, or want to make sure that you're a failure so they can prove to somebody else that you're nothing.
That is true.
That
is very true.
Yeah. And that's like when, from that point, that's like when everything started happening. I had to fight harder because it was, I was seeing, I could see the negativity and the negative obstacles being thrown at me, which before they were probably still thrown at me, but I didn't see them. So I just smoothed by them, I didn't see the battles. I just outran the battles. But after that moment, I knew that, like, wow, like something is after me. Like something's going on, something's going on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell us about getting injured.
When I had a real good, career at West Virginia. And given the fact that, I sat out a year, and, in football, you miss a year, man, that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's like a singer not singing for a year. They can't just come back and just blow it, just sing it, It takes time. So, I missed a year, came back, I was battling, some really good players for starting positions. I ended up being the starter and playing. I got hurt in college, and it didn't stop me. It kept me out a few games. I had surgery, kept me out some games. But I still, reached my dream of making it to the NFL with the Seattle Seahawks and doing training camp.
Okay. Now, what year did you?
This was in 96.
Okay.
Yeah, 96 with Seattle Seahawks, 96. Went to Seattle. Dennis Saracen, who was the coach of University of Miami, who wanted me to go to University of Miami. He coached my cousin, Cleveland, and he was like, I was going to get you. I wanted you. So, which was a bright spot in my life. Love that dude. He brought me out to Seattle, and I had a great camp, man. Like, I was the strongest, pound for pound, strongest on the team. I was two of the fastest, myself, Joey Galloway, I was doing my thing. And one day in practice, man, on that turf, I went to make a cut. And next thing you know, man, my knee just,
wow.
the meniscus just went in, and so I sat out. They went in, took X-rays, MRIs, and everything. It's like, yeah, man, the meniscus is torn. It's torn. So I had a meeting with Coach Erickson. He said, what do you want to do? Like, I'm like, Coach, I'm here. So he's like, all right, let's do it. So they was draining my knee once a week to the point that the doctor said, we're taking too much synovial fluid out. We can't do this no more. We can't do it. And I just felt like something was crunching on my knee, just crunching, man. It was bad and just kept swelling up. And I spoke with Coach Erickson about it because I couldn't practice. And he called me in the office and he was like, how you doing? I was like, I'm good, but my knee isn't, And from that point, it was like he kind of knew that I said it was time for me to hang up the cleats, just hang it up. I wanted to be able to, live a long life without, basically being crippled, and that was the toughest thing in the world, man. A lot of people don't understand when you're rated so high and all these expectations and things doesn't pan out, the energy that you live in when you're up here.
Okay.
Right, is amazing. But when it's all gone, you're back here and that energy is not there and it's a complete silence. It's like you're alone. It's like you're by yourself. You have to figure things out. You have to do things. And so that's where I was with that. I got offered jobs, because they loved me, they thought I was a great player. I got a great football IQ. So, they were like, hey, you want to coach? You want to do this? But I knew I wanted to get into acting. That was my second love. And, if I'd have had the same injury now, I'd be in the Hall of Fame. I've been in the Hall of Fame. Given my attributes at that time, man, I was 225 pounds, running 4.240, world-class sprinter, ran track for West Virginia, bench pressing 485, squatting 1,000 pounds. I could, my IQ test at the NFL Combine, the guy that gave the IQ test, it was like, you scored the highest, you and Barry Sanders. They scored the highest in the NFL, since they had the combines up to that point. And so I had everything, but man, it's like, you got a flat tire, bro. You got to change it or you can't drive it. If you drive it, you're not going to be able to go 100 miles per hour. You're going to just...
And you're going to tear it up.
You're going to tear it up more, so that was it. But I'm grateful that I had I was passionate about something else also,
Tell us about being homeless.
So I left Seattle. I left Seattle Seahawks and my college, West Virginia University, they told me if I came back to school, I can get a second degree because I had already graduated with a history degree. But I told them I wanted to get in the acting program. So they was like, we'll pay for you. Just come on. So I went back to school and I got my BFA in acting, studying with the acting program, And believe it or not, man, I was walking through the hall one day and I was singing a song. I think I Believe I Can Fly or something. I don't know what song. I just later heard me. She was like, oh my God, was that you? I'm like, yeah. And I never really sang, I was doing it that day. And she was like, we having musical theater shows here, original theater. Do you want to be involved? So I ended up doing like 12 musicals. It was like God was placing things in my life at that moment, saying like, okay, this is your second love. I'm just give it to you. So he was placing stuff in my life, while I was in acting school. And I was reading in the paper about auditions in Pennsylvania for a movie filming in New York City. And I'm looking through it and I was like, wow, I should go to this. But I'm in acting school. And when you're in acting school, you can't audition for outside stuff. But I snuck and did it anyway because I wanted to test out what I was learning. So I went and tried it out and I booked it.
Okay.
They called me back the next day and say, hey man, your audition was great. It's yours, you got it. And I had to go back to tell my professors, like, I know I shouldn't have done this, but I auditioned for a film and I booked it and it's in New York. I don't know if I should go or not. And they're like, well, while you're in school, I said, why am I in school? Because I want to learn the craft of acting. And my professor said, the best way to learn the craft of acting is by doing it.
Oh,
Go to New York. So I came to New York. And I came to New York. I told the director, I said, I have no living accommodations or anything like that. So he was like, hey, you can stay at my house. Stay at my house while we shoot the movie. So we shot the film and everything. And 2 months later, I'm still staying at his house. And he realized, like, you know, through the whole editing process, because I was helping out with a lot. So it's time to go. Now, I couldn't buy any more time. So you know, he's like, hey man, what you gonna do? You know, you gotta find a place, you know, cause I'm moving, I got a new baby coming, I got this and that. And so I said, I don't know. I said, give me a couple of days. I'm riding with one of my friends and I see a car on the side of the road. And just parked car side on the road. And I remember the director saying his car broke down. One of his cars broke down. So I called him, you know, I called him and he was like, yeah, man, that's my car in Queens. You saw it? It's white. I said, yeah. And I said, you want to sell it? He said, man, that thing don't work. He was like, it's broken down. It don't work. I just left it there. I said, do you want to sell it? And it's like, I said, I give you, he said, how much you pay for it? I said, I give you $100 for it. And he was like, 100? He was like, man, I can get 1,000 for it, but since it's you, I give it to you for 100. So he gave it to me for 100. And I bought the car. I got the car from him. And so first thing I did was went under the hood, you know, like to see what's going on. And I had another friend a singer from Howard was from Tennessee.
Okay.
And he was kind of hitting the pavements with me and stuff because, you know, he was up and doing the same thing and he knew a little bit about cars. And so he was like, man, that's just the water pump. That's the water pump. And so I'm like, okay. So we got the car to a gas station. We had it towed to a gas station and they fixed it so I could drive it around. So I'm driving it around and everything. And I drive it back to the director's house and he was like, oh, you got the car, it's working? It's like, man, what'd you do? How you do that? You know, like, hey man, we got it done. And then the conversation came up. He was like, so what you gonna do, man? Cause you know, time ticking down. And I was like, don't worry about me. I'll be all right. He thought I had found a place and all that, but I didn't. And I was parked in Jamaica, Queens. I would get that car that I bought and I'll find me a different street to park on in Jamaica, Queens, and I sleep during the nights. And then when the morning comes, I go to the gym, take a shower, and head back to the car, go in the city, and go to my auditions. I did that for 6 months.
Wow. So you lived in that car for 6 months?
6 months.
Wow. Okay.
It was hard for me to really, you know, I didn't have any job experience. I had just played football, that's it. You know, so it's not like I had job experience. It was challenging for me to get a job. But also, too, something in me didn't want me to go get a job because I wanted to focus on acting and make some stuff happen there. Which, you know, eventually it did come through. But yeah, for 6 months, man, I was sleeping in the car. Nobody knew it. My family, and you know, I'm from a very prestigious family. My uncle Willie Gary, you know, he got jets. We got 737s and all that. You know, he'll fly to New York. But hey, man, I'm coming out to see you. I'm like, no, I'll meet you in the city. You know,
Yeah.
Where you staying at? We staying at the Waldorf. I'm like, hey, get me a room. So a night, you know, I live in luxury. Then after that, I go back to the car.
So why didn't you tell your uncle?
I didn't tell anyone because sometimes your family can love you so much that they can talk you out of your dreams. And I didn't want them, they were the only ones that could reach me. And I didn't want them to plant a seed in me wanting me to come back home because of this situation. So that's why I didn't say anything to them. And I know my family, they were like, no, you coming back. You coming back, come back home, get yourself together in this. And for me as the artist, I'm always thinking I'm this close. I'm this close.
That's how it is.
I'm this close. I just got to keep going. I'm
You
this
are.
close. Yeah.
You are
always that close,
you know.
And I don't regret any of it. Like, I don't regret it, man.
Tell us about getting divorced.
After I can tell you about, I've been married twice, but I can tell you about both of them. Because both of them are like real, it's like, the first time I got married is when I left Seattle with the Seahawks, and I was dating a young lady while I was in college. And so after the Seahawks, after that was over, we decided to move to Florida, West Palm Beach. And we're in West Palm Beach. She's working, I'm fresh from the Seahawks trying to figure myself out what I'm going to do. And I came up with the decision I said, I want to really pursue acting. I want to really pursue it. I'm going to do it. And she told me, she said, Jimmy, come back to reality. Why don't you just go be a PE coach? You're a football player. You be a PE coach. And when she said that to me, I said, do I want to spend the rest of my life with someone that didn't support my dream? And she was a good person. There was nothing against her, that didn't support my dream. And so I said, I'm gonna follow my heart, and I'm gonna do what I have to do. So I went to West Virginia, and I told myself, I said, I'm going to West Virginia, married. We're just going to have a long distance marriage. If it falls apart, it falls apart. It wasn't meant to be, because right now, I want to pursue this. So I went to West Virginia, and I'm pursuing acting and everything. And that kind of just fell. It just dwindled away. And we remained friends. And years later, when she saw me on television and stuff, she was like, I just want to apologize to you because, my mindset wasn't where yours were at that time. And, I accepted her apology and was like, that's just life, how it is. What matters is that, you're cool with me and I'm cool with you. And so that divorce kind of put me in a position where, like, I'm going to pursue my dreams, And my second marriage, I'm in New York. I'm on TV all the time now, I'm doing my stuff, man, and everything. And I got married, and I had a daughter. And, one of the biggest things in this world for a man is being married and divorcing and have to leave his kid.
Yeah.
His daughter.
Yeah, that's always tough. Especially the girl. Okay.
Yeah. Because you're thinking now, I'm thinking okay, she started dating somebody else. I can't trust this man around my daughter and this. And you start thinking all this stuff and everything, know.
No matter where I am, I take my daughter to school every morning.
Oh,
no matter what I got going on.
Yeah.
I'm going to get back so I can take her to school. If I don't do nothing else, I'm taking her to school. We are having our conversation on our way to school so I can check the temperature and see what's going on.
What's happening.
I can be up for 3 days straight. Monday morning, I'm picking her. We get in the car.
Yep.
So I am with you with that.
Yeah.
Brother. And he's the same way.
Yeah.
Jay take his girls because he got 2 girls.
Oh, wow.
Every morning. He don't do nothing until they go to school.
Yeah.
All right. So we agree with that, brother.
Yeah. That's how I am, man. And I give my daughter the flexibility, even now, she lives about 15 minutes away from me. So we're close. But I give my daughter the flexibility, she goes, even though we're divorced, it's 1 week with me, 1 week with her mom, but she goes back and forth whenever she wants, we have that. So it's not like I don't want to implant the seed in my daughter's head. It's like, okay, I got to stay with daddy this week, or I got to stay with mommy this week. And actually that choice of living like that has, I think it kind of opened up a different mindset with myself and her mother. And it kind of gave our daughter the power over herself of what she wanted, of choices of what she wanted to do,
Gotcha.
and so it's been really beneficial,
Okay.
for her doing it like that. But yeah, man, I get those late night calls. So 7 o'clock, Daddy, take me to Times Square. We're dancing. She's 11 years old.
She's 11?
Okay. Yeah, so I take her to Times Square. They dance to, Times Square, dance at 11:30 at night. Then I, bring them back to the house.
So tell us about the scar of the divorce.
The scar of the divorce is, for a man, period, man, it's like when you're dealing with relationships, when it fail, men, we like, what did I do? And you probably did everything right, and it's just like, what did I do? It scarred me in a way that it made me look at women differently, in the ways that it's nothing. Like you can give a woman everything, and one morning she wakes up and she just don't want you no more.
Yeah.
And I think that for men, it's like, we know what we give, and we know that, we're strong, so we're going to bear the burden of a lot of things, protections, providing and everything. And I think one of the biggest things is that my daughter told me when she was in like the 3rd grade, she said, Daddy, I got all these new friends. And I'm like, yeah. So over time, I'm meeting her friends. And she's like, Daddy, can you be her dad too? Because her dad doesn't live with her.
Wow.
Or Dad, can you be her dad? Because her dad is in jail. And they love you so much because they always see you and you hear. And I think the biggest scar with me is that I didn't think that my daughter was like that. And she's so loving and open and want me to be this. And one day she would be in that position of not having me in the house. So now it's like, she's just like those other kids.
I mean, she has you. You are there. And your parents show y'all how to do it by having you live with your grandparents, right?
Right.
And them continue to support you in every way. And you are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You have learned to co-parent. You have learned to make it something that works for her. Like you said, your daughter don't have to go with you every week. She's supposed to go with you. Right. She knows that she has the benefit of having 2 homes now. Right. And that is a blessing.
Just being like, I was the president of the parents committee at her school. Like I was everything, and I was being everything to these kids that didn't have their fathers. I was doing that. And when she said that to me, asking me to be these kids' dads and all that, and she being so happy that we were together,
that she could share.
She had that.
Yes.
She could share me, and the fact that she had a daddy that was with her all the time, And it's not like, it's a scar. The scar is that, is the fact that for her, what she was going through when I was leaving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, I know she cried. I know she did, she just went through it.
Absolutely.
But it always come back to me, man. It's like when she said to me, her daddy doesn't live with her. There, and his dad is in jail. So she's naming all these kids, and all the kids look up to her because her dad is there. And I know she never thought she would be in that position. And she didn't have anything to do with it. That was all the parents. So that's something like that really, it kind of scarred me. It's like, marriages, you fight through it. You fight through it. Sometimes you put your personal, your private self aside for the kids. And sometimes when you can't, I'm just happy that I set it up to where she has that flexibility. She can come be with me. She come, but I get emotional because, there's nothing in this world that my daughter feels I can't do. Just like your daughter feel like you're the biggest hero.
Absolutely.
And so it's like, just going back on that memory of seeing her face, how happy she was when she was telling the kids that, not even knowing that one day a kid may look at her and be like, hey, telling his dad or her dad, hey, can you be Mariella's dad? Her dad don't live with her, or her dad, you know what I'm saying? Like all these thoughts go in your head and stuff like that. But, that was very, I would say that was probably a little traumatic for her, because I basically raised her because her mother worked. And I was an actor, so I had more time. And then I go do a job and blah, blah, blah. But so I spent a lot of time with her. So she,
Tell us about the scar of heartbreak.
You make sacrifices that you wouldn't ordinarily make. People say you're crazy for making these sacrifices, but it's in the name of love. It's in the name of commitment. It's in the name of everything under that umbrella.
It doesn't even feel like a sacrifice in the moment.
It doesn't at that moment.
Yeah.
It doesn't. And I think that, when you're trying to build with someone and you're pouring into that person and you're pouring into that person and you're overflowing that person because you probably on empty, but you still find somewhere to pour from, and you make plans, you map out your future. You do all that. And at that time, at the time also, you had relationships and you know the mistakes that have made, you know what to do, what not to do. You've grown as a person, you're in a better position now to be a boyfriend or a husband, or, you're in a better position, you're mentally mature, the wisdom has set in and you kind of know. And you put a lot into something and it doesn't work out, and it's not your fault. That's I think that's one of the toughest things that that a man can go through. I don't know why Tyree's popping up in my head right now. You know what I'm saying? He know that. He know. But it's like every man, you want to feel like you're that one. Especially with the woman that you're with, you're that one.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And when you find out that you're not that one to her.
Wow. Yeah.
It's devastating. But, as a man, we're always taught like, hey, man, shoot, pick yourself up and keep moving, keep going, da-da-da. And yeah, we do that, but it still hurt. It's a heartbreak, it's still hurt. And I don't think the hurt ever goes away. I just think that we learn to live with it. And one thing that I choose not to allow those type of situations to do to me is harden me as a man to the point that I can't love again.
Gotcha.
And a lot of men, they
will run from that hurt.
Oh, and they become dogs.
Oh yeah.
They become dogs, man. They treat women like garbage. But I got daughters. I don't want my daughter to run into a man who got his heart broken, and now she run into him, and now he's treating her like she did it. So that's why I'm just grateful that
because your daughter's going to date you. She's going to date a man like her father.
Yeah.
All right.
No doubt.
So we learned that because I had two boys before. I had a daughter, and my daughter kind of changed everything about me, because I have to look at her and say, I have to be the best man I could be for her. So I'm with you.
Yeah. And your daughter's like this, one thing about my daughter though is like, and with most women, like, man, come on, man, like, we human, bro. Like, it's like, you just can't keep stuff. If a man keeps stuff balled up, built up in him, at some point, whoever he's with is going to unleash it, or some going to happen. So I tried not to keep stuff balled up. I let it go, express myself. And with my daughter, I don't hide my emotions from her, because by me being me will allow her, when she get to that point that she finds someone that she's with, someone that can express his emotions and not be judged in a certain type of way, not have his manhood judged, so my emotions, man, I freely, with her. Something wrong with me. If she see me cry, Dad, what's wrong? And we sit there and have a conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Men, we're supposed to be so strong, and some women see a emotional man as a sign of weakness. To me, they crazy. Like we're human. Don't get it twisted. Just because I'm sitting here shedding tears don't mean that beast not in me.
Yeah.
I've tamed the beast. Which most men aim to do in life, to tame that beast, to get that emotional control. But yeah, that's tough. When a man goes through, when a man gives in a relationship, especially over a long period of time. When he knows that his life can be a certain place, but he's giving in this situation, he's giving to the point that, he's trying to bring this person up here with him.
Absolutely.
So he's stopping to pull her up. I'm in a fraternity, I'm Omega. So one of our mottos is lift as we climb.
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm climbing, I'm lifting her up with me. And then, betrayal happens, something happened, and you're devastated. You can't believe it. You can't believe it's you. It happened to you. You know what I'm saying? And, I look back now and I laugh a little bit, because it's happened already. It's in the past. But
do you still see her?
See her?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm like with me, I'm about growth. You know what I'm saying? I'm about growth. It's like I want to sit. Like, I want to be able to sit. I don't want to hold grudges against people in life.
Absolutely.
I don't want to, people make choices, they make those choices, and it's about learning, you know what I'm saying? It's like maybe their mindset wasn't at that place to see the seriousness of the situation, so yeah, I don't have to forgive, I don't have to forget, but what I can do is not let it affect me or allow it just because I see this person.
Gotcha.
And I try to remember the good times, the good parts. If I know like, okay, that's done with, it's over, but we had some great times together. It is cool,
Absolutely.
It's cool. And we keep moving on from there, from that point.
Tell us about the scar in acting and finding your work in the acting space.
Acting is like being in love with a woman.
Different? Okay.
It is, because in acting, it can treat you lovely and you feel so much love from it. And at moments, you feel like you hate it more than anybody on this earth.
Wow.
When you go in and you're auditioning 3 or 4 auditions a week, and you're going in and you got your rent due, you got bills to pay, and you're not booking anything. They're telling you no. And you sitting back telling yourself, just be patient, stay positive. be patient, stay positive, you know, and you kind of coach yourself on that. So I've had so many no's that it makes the yeses so worthwhile. You know, it's like the longer period I get a no, the bigger the yes is. You know, and the way it works is I've been acting for over 20 years, you know, and I've done a lot of work. And a lot of the roles that I've booked, other than the ones that were just offered to me, some of the ones that I booked are the ones that was for a day player. And I go in and end up being on the show for 3-4 years.
Wow.
You know, and so it's like the heartbreak in acting is when you really, really, really want this particular role. You really want it, and you put the work in, and your audition is great. You feel it. I mean, you feel everything about it, and you go in, and you don't even get a call back. But this the role that you always wanted to do, you know, and you don't even get a call back. It's like they're not even thinking of you at the role, you know, in that role.
Wow.
You know, and so what it makes you do is it makes you first of all, you want to see, it's just like it's like being in love with a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
If a woman goes out and like in the role, right? The acting role, that's your woman. She didn't choose you. She chose somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So now, like in a relationship, your woman, she with somebody else, you want to know who it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who this nigga is, you know, who it is, you know, like, and so it made me want to research, you know, I watched the episode and see, like, why did they pick him? Okay. Then sometimes I'd be like, oh, he must got some connections because he ain't this and that, or you know, or it could be, you know, or it's like, you know what, he is good. I can see him doing a role. I see why they did it, you know. So it kind of helps you understand yourself a little bit, you know, and understand like, okay, maybe I need to add a little twist in my game a little bit, or maybe there's something else I need to do. But yeah, that's the journey. That's the journey of acting, man. I don't know. I've done over probably 50 to 60 TV shows and films, you know, but I probably auditioned about 10,000 times.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So you go out there a lot, and then your name get out, and then you know, you become popular in the acting community, and you know, sometimes they just offer you things.
There you go.
You know, and sometimes you got that work, but I don't care. I spoke with Denzel, you know, I spoke with lots of actors, you know, Anthony Mackie. We used to run in New York together for a little bit, you know, Jamie Hector, like a lot of guys that have, you know, they start meter has risen very high, you know, and it's no different. The higher you go, it's no different. Same thing, man. They go through the same stuff. I'm like, Denzel, man, you mean, and this was years ago, but he was already Denzel, big star. I'm like, Denzel, you mean you had the audition? He's like, yeah. I went in, they wanted me to read for it. They wanted to do a screen test.
Wow.
It was out of me, Lawrence Fishburne. And so, you know, he went to naming all the top black actors at that time. So it kind of never changes, man. Just because your star meter rises, it never change. You know, you still gonna have to compete. And so you learn to embrace competition. You learn to like it and love it. And it kind of changes the trajectory of your career when you start seeing it a different way. You know, and so, so those scars from acting of, you know, roles that I felt like I should have gotten, that I didn't get, you know, those scars are reminders of why I should keep going, and just reminders of why, you know, this role is right around the corner. I'm this close to, you know, landing the biggest gig that I've gotten.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Well, my brother, thank you for sitting down and sharing your scars, man. Is there anything you want to leave us with that you're working on, or what's next for you?
Well, right now I have a film coming out called have a few films and a couple of TV series coming out. A film called The Home with Pete Davidson, David DeMonico. He directed The Purge.
Okay.
We filmed that a couple of years ago. I don't know why I was waiting so long to get out. I just did another film, romantic comedy called Oh Hi, that's going to be released in the theaters in July 25th. I'm think, yeah,
okay.
with Molly Gordon and some great, wonderful director out of London. Great team. It was just real fun, and I did some work with the Actor Studio up in New York. They shot a series. Some actors from there shot a series. They called me and wanted me to be a part of it. So that's going to be coming out. And I shot another series from a guy in Georgia that I had worked with previously. We shot a film together. He liked my work. And he was like, hey, man, I'm filming something. I want you to be in it. So, I got some stuff working out. I'm also working on my own film and TV series. I write and produce.
Okay.
I'm working right now, like I'm working on an acting film camp workshop for the kids back in my hometown. And, I go back, I'm back there. That's in June, actually. It's a 2-week camp. We're going to bring some people down from New York and go to this small country town and, try to spread the love, give some kids some options, because down there, everything is just, if you're not into cows or footballs, you really don't have anything to do. So we're just trying to, just spread what God has given us. Between that and I got a lot going on, man. But between that, I also manage the artist, LaShawn, who was recently on American Idol.
Okay.
And we're a dynamic team. We've been working together for about 4 years.
Okay, that's what's up.
And we've seen the growth of where we started. I remember one of the biggest moments in our history is my nephew, when we first started working together, she had a show in New York with DJ Drewski. It was one of his competitions.
Okay.
And I couldn't make it because I was at the NFL draft. My nephew was getting drafted. He plays for the Giants. And he was being drafted. And the moment they called him, he was the 7th pick in the first round. When they called his name, I got a call from her, and she said, Jimmy, I won.
Oh, wow.
So from that point, I said, this is meant to be. Like, I'm in a good place. Like, I'm going to ride out with this. Like, we're going to make this happen.
Absolutely.
And I'm working with her. We got shows, we're trying to book shows, we're just going, man. We're going. She's got some wonderful music. She even made me start singing again,
Okay.
Start doing a little something, even though she be like, stop crying, I'm like, I ain't crying, girl. I'm singing. I'm just bringing it from the soul, you got to know the difference. But it's a blast, man. I'm happy, joyful. I'm grateful. God has been good to me, and, just keep going. If I tell people something, if I want to tell anybody something, it's just that, do not lean towards your own understanding, because sometimes we don't understand why we're here or doing what we're doing. We don't understand it, but it's in the hands of a greater power.
Absolutely.
And sometimes we're led by ancestors, and we're led, man, and we meet people, and we just have to know that we want it. And it can be a selfish want. It got to be a want that's going to help.
There it
people.
is.
It's going to help somebody,
Absolutely.
and just don't quit and keep going and just believe that your dreams can come true. They will come true.
That's what's up. Well, listen, my brother, thank you.
My man.
For coming out.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoy this episode of Scars. Please remember to like, share, tell a friend. We out, Jay.
Scars on the surface, but they deeper within. Every stitch is a chapter, every break is a win. From the pain we ascend, like the phoenix we rise. Scars podcast, where the truth never lies.